Hi everyone, I'm Beth from Beth Bikes. Today I'm here to do a ride recap for the second pastry ride of 2022. If you haven't gone back and seen the pastry ride recap for pastry ride number 1, I will leave that in the description box below. So what is a pastry ride? Unlike the name might suggest, we don't ride bikes and eat pastries at the same time. We do in fact ride bikes and eat pastries, but we first ride a short 4 to 6 miles at a slow roll pace of 8 to 10 miles an hour and then stop at a destination to eat pastries. For this pastry ride, my dad and a friend of ours left our house about 7:30 to ride to Perennial Cycle, where all of these pastry rides start. When we got to the Plymouth Bridge, we saw lots of people lining up. There was a 5K, 10K race going on, and they were all about to start, and the start line was on the Plymouth Bridge. So we snuck by them and then hopped on West River Parkway. It was a good thing we were a few minutes before the race, because otherwise we would have been in the middle of this race, and because of the race, West River Parkway was actually closed, and so we had the entire road and parkway to ourselves. West River Parkway is part of the Grand Rounds system and runs on the west side of the river with both a walking path, biking path, and then a road for cars. From there we went to the light rail trail, which runs right next to the light rail tracks. This trail leads us to the Sabo Bridge from downtown Minneapolis. The Sabo Bridge is a very iconic bridge in Minneapolis, and it actually overlooks Minneapolis and is part of the Greenway, which is an old rail corridor. We then crossed over the Sabo Bridge and got onto the Greenway. We took the Greenway then all the way until we got off on a side street and then got to Perennial Cycle. We showed up at Perennial Cycle about an hour early again. I had to be there to take pictures, but my dad and the friend that we rode with didn't need to be there quite yet. So they went and did a loop of Bademeiskaka, the lake that used to be known as Lake Calhoun, which is about 3 blocks from Perennial Cycle. So I'm taking pictures and Luke gets me some more information. Luke is the owner of Perennial, and he gets me some more information about what he is looking for and everything, and people are starting to show up and things are falling into place, and the community is there for the pastry ride. As people were showing up at the shop, my mom and the wife of our friend ended up showing up too. They drove the car to the shops, so they didn't have to ride the extra 12 miles to the shop, but they were still able to join us for the social ride and the pastries.
Here at the pastry ride.
We then have some announcements about road usage, making sure that we are calling out potholes, right turn, left turn, slowing, and those kinds of things.
How many of you have committed to 30 days of biking? A lot? Oh, Patrick, you did. Good.
I'm astonished. Wow.
The OG of 30 days of biking is here today. If you haven't met him, Patrick's over here, and you'll have plenty of chances while eating a pastry to talk to him. Today's pastries are coming from Baker's wife.
We then head out front to the front of the shop to take a group picture. After that, we all go back to the back of the shop, grab our bikes, and start to line up. We line up and start to roll out, and we're rolling out and I'm getting pictures. A very similar route to what we took last week for the pastry ride. We start on Humboldt, which is just a side street in South Minneapolis. When we got onto the greenway, we had to regroup because we did have to stop at a couple of stoplights, which broke up our group a little bit. While we were on the greenway, I ended up sprinting ahead a couple of times to take some pictures of people, and then I would fall back, and we take the greenway for quite a while. We take it all the way to the end where it hits the river and West River Parkway. We get off on West River Parkway and go down to Annie Meadow, which is where we stopped to have our pastries or donuts this time. At the point that we rolled into Annie Meadow, the group had rolled about 6 miles. We then got our pastries from Baker's Wife, and we were standing around eating our pastries and having lots of conversation, which is what makes these rides so much fun. There were a lot of little kids on this ride, which also made it a joy to take pictures of. After we all ate our fair share of donuts and had lots of conversation, it was time for the raffle. We pulled names out of our bucket, and there were a bunch of prizes that were distributed. I ended up winning a saddlebag at this raffle. Instead of riding back to the shop, my dad, I, our friend, and his wife, the 4 of us, decided to go up West River Parkway. We ended up snaking through downtown Minneapolis before heading back to West River Parkway and then heading home. In all, this ride ended up being about 30 miles for me, but that included the 12-mile ride to Perennial, the 6-mile pastry ride, and then about 11 miles riding back to our house. If you enjoyed hearing about this pastry ride, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss another pastry ride or biking related video. Until next time, I'm Beth. See ya!